or 20. The athletic trainer is the first responder. They're the ones, when there's an athlete on the injured, when that happens, they're the ones there first assessing, taking control of that situation, and really helping that student through potentially some difficult situations. And we're fortunate to have a very good athletic trainer. She's established some excellent relationships with the students. They've built a lot of trust there, and in turn, that trust has allowed for some better assessing of injuries and helping students get back to, student athletes get back to playing healthy. So she's essentially treating about 1,500 injuries, and those range from a year, and those range from anything from it could be a cut, bruise, to some of the more severe injuries like a torn ACL or a concussion or something like that. So there's quite a range there, but roughly 1,500 treatments a year. So on a safety side in athletics, the trainer is really a vital part of the program. And so that's more of a true reflection of our spending. Some of the other side of things, on more of easing some of the financial burden that our families and our boosters organizations are picking up, reflect the dues and fees line item. There's a $1,700 increase to the dues and fees, and then another $1,000 increase to officials, which would help us keep in compliance with our Title IX program that we have established now. Currently, we're in a 2-year program, and our goal is to achieve equity funding across the board for our boys and girls programs. And the last increase was for our uniforms, which was a $6,300 increase to this line item, which would get us back into our 5-year uniform rotation the past couple of years. That has been put on hold to help support other parts of the athletic budget, so to make sure we're able to keep some of these programs. And we're about 3 teams behind schedule there, so this would get us back to where we should be with funding uniforms. So those are the 3 major pieces to the increase. Aside from that, everything else has stayed at a maintenance budget. Travel and our supplies. Trying to really recognize the importance of being financially responsible, but those are 3 areas that I feel really help and give a true reflection of what we're doing in the athletic club.
Questions for Jeff?
You said the boosters pay about 35% of our budget. On the pay-to-play, is that the dues and fees line?
Is that incorporated with?
Right.
No, that's separate.
What percentage of our athletic budget is paid for by pay-to-play?
10%, 9%, 8%. I think we spend about $625,000 on the athletic budget, and we bring in about $45,000 in pay-to-play.
So the town should be aware that of our excellent athletic program, about 45 to almost half of it's paid for not by the town, but by boosters and parents. If I did my math right. You said 35% boosters and about 10% pay-to-play. Okay.
Yeah, but the boosters are funding a lot of what I would call nice-to-haves. They are funding some perhaps need-to-haves, but is that
a large percentage of the booster funding is probably for coaching.
freshman
First,
coaches?
like an assistant coach or freshman coaches. So it would be probably
But it is significant.
85% of that booster fund is in
What
coaching.
I was trying to point out to our community is that, and I think coaches is the need to have versus a which What's your other half of that?
Need to have and nice to have.
Nice to have.
And I agree with coaches are, but, it depends. If you've got a staff like the Patriots for your football team, then, there's some nice to haves in that. That was one of the things we were talking about the finance committee. I think if you get your hands around the difference, some recall would be really
I
helpful.
just wanted to point out to the community what percentage is not coming from tax revenue. And the other thing I just want to, you spent a long time justifying a trainer. I think that's a no-brainer. That it's good for the kids, it's good for safety, it's good for our liability. That's money well spent. And lastly, I am astounded, and it's a great testament to our athletic program in our schools, that our athletes average a 91% GPA. I find that a stunning statistic. It's something you and the entire athletic department in the school should be complimented on. And I'm complimenting you on it.
Thank you. Questions?
Just about the athletic trainer, can you explain a little bit, how do you figure out where the athletic trainer